Hey everybody, it is Leanne, and I have to apologize for being late on the December card kit video. But as you can see, I have been super busy making holiday cards, and I didn't record the process for a lot of these cards because I just kind of got into it, and I actually wasn't expecting the outcome to be what it was many times. And that most of these are also a little bit derivative on other cards that I saw. So I just wanted to talk about that and the influences and using whatever set you have in kind of new, fresh ways. And so one of the things, let's start with this card. This card is the Simon Says stamp, God, Blessed Christmas. Sorry, thank you. And I saw a card that Sherry Carroll had made that was actually a tree, a corbel tree that was very similar to layout. And I had bought this swirly background, and I had bought this set, and I loved it. And I originally bought it because I had seen a card that was similar to this one that had been done by Lime Doodle Design by Debbie Hughes. And so I started with this one, and I changed it up a little bit. Instead of putting words in the background, I put a pattern, and I used some Snow Puff embossing powder to make that a little more, rich, I guess. It feels jacquardy to me. And then I also added more shrubbery here and a little bit of glossy accents. But I loved using the new inks, and I thought that design for that card was beautiful with the really light Barely Blue in the background. And once I had that one under my belt, and I had seen, I wanted to use the stag in a new way. And I had seen that card, and I had loved the idea of it being a window through some pattern paper onto something else. And so you can see the transition from what I saw to kind of where I went with it with a completely different set. And I actually added some Wink of Stella here. I made a little custom piece of glitter paper, very thin stripe, and I used some burlap here, and a combination of pattern papers, which is generally a little bit harder for me, and this time I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it. So sticking with obviously with a color palette, which is easy for Christmas because it's red and green, and really making this one feel a little earthy with the burlap and the craft background, and then matching that with the color of the stag. And then also from this same Blessed Christmas set, there was this great polar bear with the Merry Christmas. And I did 2 cards with this set as well. I will show a picture of that one because I have already mailed it. I sent it off for a Christmas card swap. But this one I wanted to take in a completely different direction as well, and use some colors that weren't necessarily so Christmassy. And I was, you can see I used a Next Level embossing folder in the back, the one that looks like shattered ice, and wanted the glitter paper to really reflect kind of like a snowy sheet of ice or an ice block floating in the Arctic. And our polar bear is there, and I really like how this turned out. These are very, they're kind of like Eskimo patterns, so I like the feeling of that. But taking that whole thing and putting it into a different color palette, and I actually did a little different format for this one too, but I like this card a lot, and it's some ideas of different ways to use that Blessed Christmas set. And then for me, I do get the Hero Arts kit, and we got the November kit, and it had it had a snow globe. And everybody had done examples with the snow globe, but I did really like the little scene, and I wanted to do a shaker card. And I also had this background stamp as a wood block, and I wanted to use that in white on the red. So I made the frame actually first, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a little scene inside. And so I created a little snowy scene with layers of the trees, layered at different heights and dimension, and the Christmas tree itself, and then lots of those little beads and that. And you could really do this with any one of your kits, but I love the idea of the white textured embossed background, the red frame with the white embossing, and then the little scene inside. And you really could do that with whatever kit, whatever stamp set you have, that creates a scene. You could certainly recreate this card in a number of different ways. And those I made 3, and I sent the other 2 off, so they're on their happy way. And then this season I really fell in love with the Essentials by Ellen release, and Julie Ebersol had made a card that was shown at the release of this that actually featured using this background texture on the bird, but the bird was hanging like an ornament from a dark string, and then she had embossed on the background the sentiment and some snowflakes. And it was a beautiful card, and it inspired me to make an ornament, but I wanted to change up the color palette and change up the font. I wanted it to feel more Scandinavian. And so I took the poinsettia that they had, and I silver embossed that onto some smoke cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And I actually used a small little sentiment from Hero Arts for the Noel. And then this card actually functions as an ornament. So it has an ornament inside that you can pull. I cut a hole in the top of the card and strung it through, and people can remove the little the dove and hang that on their tree after Christmas. And this is another version of that. I just added the Noel to the tag that it sat on. I couldn't really decide which one, so I made some of those. But there's also some Spectrum Noir sparkle pen inside, so it really does make a really lovely little ornament for your tree. And then I also bought the Big Words die set. And, these words I think you can use at other times of the year. Certainly the love and the peace. But altogether, they are definitely a message of Christmas. And I just took a Hero Arts felt flower. I cut it out of patterned paper and out of white cardstock at the same time, so it would have some thickness, and mounted those together. And then I wanted to add the poinsettia onto the top. And you could really do this with any pattern paper, and you could either cut a little poinsettia out of matching pattern paper, or Hero Arts does have these felt, and I added just a little jewel in the center there. Using the same stamp set. This one is a little bit more complicated, but I had this idea and it just came to me that this is what I wanted to do, and I don't know why. I combined the Hero Arts Holly. I'll have to put the name of this set down below in the supplies, but I took this and I colored. I did memento. I then colored them with Copic markers, add some shimmer pen, and then actually attached them to the back of in between another layer of cardstock, so that you can see that, and that's what makes up the joy, peace, and love. And then everything is also mounted on double thickness, so you can really get some nice dimension. It feels really quality and thick and kind of heavy. It's nice. And I made a lot of those and I've sent a number of them off already. They're all a little bit different, but you know, I changed the positioning of the holly as I kind of went through and I stamped them. And then there was oh boy, I think that this set was called, I'll have to let you know. It is another Ellen Hutson. It was part of the release. I want to say Blessed Holiday. No, that's another one. So I bought 5 sets, and so that's what you're seeing. I'm a little confused. But for this card, I did a few different versions, but literally I did some on watercolor paper, which is what you're seeing here. They're a little thicker, and you can see that it's a little creamier paper. And then I also did some on some 110-pound Nina Solar White, and I actually like the color of these better. The blue is much more brilliant on the bottom, but the idea really was obviously a snowy night sky, and I used chip sapphire and tumbled glass, and then I wanted the bottom to be white and ombre like it was a snowbank and the deer was standing there. And then I did use some sparkle embossing powder, and I added some more snowflakes with the white embossed ones. And then after that, I did splatter water and some white peeled paint, distress paint on to really make it feel wet and snowy out. And I'm so happy with this card. I think this is one of my favorites of all the ones that I made this season. It's just simple and beautiful, and I love that winter night sky. So that is that. I tend to try to make my Christmas cards in sets of 4, and then give different people different different ones. And then this is the last set of 4 that I have for you today, which is using the Ellen Hutson Mondo Poinsettia and a greeting again from Hero Arts. There's a Christmas greeting set. And literally, I did a really simple white embossed background. I embossed the flowers on vellum in white, in Hero Arts white vellum embossing powder. And then I colored on the back with Copic markers. And you can see, in this one I actually added some white colored pencil because I got it really dark and I did not want it. It's pretty hard to get color on the back of vellum to be dark, but this one I actually overdid it and I wanted to lighten it a little, so I used some white colored pencil, and it gives a really beautiful effect actually. And then this one is, you can see it's really just the clear vellum. There is just a little bit of Copic marker on the back. It's a very pale mauve pink. So I wanted it to feel like they were white poinsettias on white. And you know, white cards I love. So these are primarily white. They're also nice because they're holiday wish cards and they're not about Christmas directly. And I have a lot of different friends from a lot of different places in the world, and I don't always want to send Christmas cards to them if they're Jewish or if they celebrate another holiday at this time. So those are the holiday projects that I've been working on this season, and I hope you are inspired and got some ideas to take some sets out, maybe look at some examples online, look at what the designers for the other stamp companies are doing, and take them and adapt them to your creative process. You can find me at the locations here and on my blog, and there's 3 more holiday examples there too. Happy holidays and see you next week. Bye-bye.